Hello, Facebook world and all of my people, I think 4 of you that subscribe to this channel on Facebook, and I think I have 1 subscriber on YouTube. Hello, all 5 of you. It has obviously been a minute. The last time I checked in was February 12th. Good grief. I feel like I was scrolling forever to figure out what the day was and what day I was on at that point, etc., etc. And so obviously since then you haven't seen my face for a daily check-in except, daily check-in, period. However, you have been seeing me for the devotionals, and we did just start a new devotional today, actually. So yeah, we are in a new devotional, but I wanted to jump on here and just check in. So I've decided that my check-ins, I don't want to talk about, I really don't want to talk about what I ate. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post my meals, because I took pictures for most everything. My meals down below, and description of them, whatever, just for the check-in part of things. But I don't know, I just kind of decided that it's my check-ins that I do. I want to check in with you guys to talk about the other side of things, not just like my food intake and did I exercise today. Those are very important. Those are obviously very important, but I think it's important to check in about the other side of things too, like the spiritual side, the emotional side, all of that stuff. And I also feel like it's important for me to check in with all of you and say, hey, like, how's it going on your side too? Because if this is really truly a journey, I'm like not journeying alone. Obviously I'm journeying with Jesus, but I'm not journeying alone as well with people. So let's see. It's been a pretty rough 2 months, couple days, 2 months, 10 days, whatever it's been. It's been kind of rough, to be completely honest. Let's see. It was great. My birthday happened on March 2nd, but the day after that, my grandmother, my adoptive grandmother, passed away. It wasn't necessarily sudden in the sense of she hadn't been deteriorating in health and mental capacity. It just kind of, she got sick with some sort of infection, and that was kind of it. Really grateful. I mean, the Lord's timing, obviously, of, it says that he knows the number of hairs on our head. He knows, the number of days. However, I'm really grateful that grandma's number of days did not include 1 less day, because I think my birthday for the rest of my life would have probably been pretty melancholy, bittersweet. Because I've learned in my youth, I feel like I really liked my birthday. In my 20s, not really a fan. But as I've, in my 30s, and now honestly next year I'll be 40, which is crazy to think about. I've genuinely celebrated my birthdays and enjoyed celebrating my anniversary of birth. So, yeah, again, not that it's all about me. I was really grateful that it kind of went down the way that it did, and that she went peacefully. It wasn't like a painful process or, and most people were able to get here to say goodbye and things like that. So, let's see, that happened. I don't know if I talked about this in an earlier post, but earlier this year, we have 2 dogs, had 2 dogs, I should say, and I feel like they're around the same age, but our older acting dog, because he had hip dysplasia and he had hip surgery from an injury when he was not very old. He got around a little bit worse than our other guy did, even though they're the same age, and he just was deteriorating physically, and so we made the really hard decision, because he had tumors all over his body, And they were making it hard for him to like pick himself up because they were getting so heavy. And so we made the decision to put him down, and that was awful. I have had to go put a cat down, but I've never had to put, and our dog is a medium-sized dog. That was awful. And then my brother had 2 dogs, and their older dog, something, again, like all these like really weird things. Their older dog had something weird happen, and she kind of like fell one day, just standing and walking in the kitchen, and just like, it's almost like she slipped a disc or something. And then she really never recovered from that. And a week later, she passed peacefully, mind you. But yet it was one of those things where she was not having issues before that moment. And so, well, I should say, when my brother and his family started going on vacations during the summertime, and they got a camper and started camping and stuff like that, I would go and I would stay with her. And so I got kind of close with her as well over the past several years. So that was, and honestly, that happened. So it was like our dog passed away, grandma passed away. We've had a death basically every single month. Our dog passed away, grandma passed away, and then my brother's dog passed away. And if you're not a pet person, you don't get it. But if you are a pet person, you'll understand. And so it's just kind of been like one of these things of walking through the grief of it and not really, I don't know. It's like one of those things where you feel like you're okay with it and you've accepted it. And then you realize that you haven't, and you're just kind of like walking around in a fog without realizing it. And then a bunch of other anniversary stuff of things that have happened in the past 10 years of my life. Some of them good, but some of them like anniversary of good stuff as well. But it's almost like when the anniversary of good things happens and your life looks really different than what you thought it would later on. There's almost like a grief that you go through from that too. I don't know if you can relate to that, but like, I feel like since the beginning of the year, it's kind of been that. And, you know, at the beginning of the year, I heard the Lord say, as well as it got confirmed by a bunch of people, that like this was the year of the prophet Jeremiah, who, if you don't know this, he was called the weeping prophet because he just like cried all the time. And that's kind of like what life has felt like. And I'll be honest with you, it's been kind of weird because I've just kind of, since my birthday was amazing. Okay, let's just talk about that for a second. My birthday was amazing. I invited all of my immediate as well as extended-ish family and one of my really good friends and her son to come with me to this animal farm that we have that's like 45 minutes away from our house. It's kind of like a gem in the middle of nowhere that just started booming with customers and stuff. And they have like really cool exotic animals like that. A zebra, we saw 2 owls. There was a skunk that you could hold, like a, not like the black and white skunk, but like a silver skunk, I think is what it's called, or something like that. But you could hold it. It was like a cat. It was so cool. A sloth. I got to play with otters on my actual birthday because my birthday fell on a Saturday. And so I booked this all the way back in October because they filled up that quick. It was an amazing day. And then my grandmother passed away the next day, and it's just kind of been rough. I don't really know what other way to say it. It's just been kind of rough. There's been a lot of disappointing things, and just not allowing that disappointment to like overwhelm you. It's kind of like one of those things where I heard it's, oh my gosh, it was so, let's just kind of put it in perspective. And maybe you are experiencing this right now too. I follow this girl on, I think it's on TikTok, and I actually just bought her book. It's really good. It's called Unraveled. And it's so powerful, but she goes on her TikTok and she just kind of like shares these encounters that she has with the Lord, and they're so amazing. And this one just like, it was the first thing that popped up when I clicked on I wasn't even like getting on TikTok for any other reason other than I follow this couple that like posts funny stuff. And so I was like going there to laugh. And so as soon as that was done and it went back to like your following page, this is the first thing that popped up. And it was she was talking about how she was like in this time of life where it was just like really rough. and she was like very, confused. I don't like to use that word because I don't like to talk about like the spirit of confusion coming and stuff like that. But she's talking about the fact that like it was very unhinging, I guess. I'll call it that word, for her, because it was like she was literally in the natural, like experiencing the scripture from that Paul says, the thing that I want to do is what I'm not doing, and what I don't want to do is what I'm doing. And so the Lord was basically like, hey, like there's this space in between, like when you hear me say something, or when you feel the unction to do something, and when it actually is happening, there's this like space in between, and you need to be okay with the space, and you need to like sit in the space and not allow it to basically dismantle you. And, she was like, I don't really understand what the heck he was talking about. But then as time went on and things went further, it started to make sense. And the Lord was like, I think one of the other things that she said was sometimes it's really hard for her. And this was so good. Like, this was just like, whoa. It's really hard sometimes for her to connect with Jesus, the man, because like he was perfect. He didn't sin. Like we know that he struggled with, not struggled, but like he was tempted, I should say. Sorry, not struggled. He was tempted in the same way that we are, but he never struggled the same way that we do, in the sense of where it allowed him to sin. Like he never took it to that point. And so she was like, I've always had issues with, just really having a connection and finding connection with Jesus, the man. And so basically God took her into, the passage about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he was like, what you need to understand is that his spirit actually knew, and this is so good. And it was just like, whoo, because if you're in this space, like it's hard, because you're like, what is going on? Like, I would say I'm sorry for crying, but I'm really not, because I feel like I really haven't cried about any of this. So let's just do it on Facebook Live, whatever. It's like, you know, your spirit is like so in tune with what Holy Spirit is saying. And like, you know that that's like the best thing. And you know that that's like what God is leading you to. But it's like, you can't make your body get up and actually follow through on it. And so, God was just like showing her Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and was like, his spirit was so willing and was so like, let's go. Like, I am willing to do whatever. I know it's coming, but his flesh is what, like, you see him lay down as he's sweating blood and like crying out and saying, please let this cup pass for me. Like, that was his flesh crying out. That was his body saying, my body, my physical body is what is going to go through this, and it does not want to go through it. However, it's just going to have to die. like in the proverbial sense, before it actually did die in the actual sense. And so she was like, whoa, Lord, like, that is such a connection that I can make, because my spirit is so willing, but my flesh is weak. And the Lord was just talking to her and saying, you know, like, let your flesh be weak, because what does the word say? The word says that in our weakness, he is strong. And I think sometimes we just have a hard time, like, admitting, like, my spirit is so willing. My spirit is like so on board. My spirit is like, let's go. And my flesh is like having a hard time dying. And so, I feel like that's like, it was almost like, I mean, I know it wasn't like, it was literally, the Lord sent that to me exactly when I needed to hear it, because I feel like I've just kind of been existing for the past month and a half, and just like, you have to understand, like, I don't know if I've shared this on here or not, but like, I was a person that used to really struggle with depression. Like, I would hear suicidal thoughts. I would be driving down the road, and like, I would definitely, I mean, we know it's demonic. I would hear in my head, why don't you just like turn your car off the road and run into that tree? Who would miss you? Who would, you know, like, and that I feel like that was a really long time ago now. It feels a long time ago away from what I'm experiencing now, because like, the Lord set me free. He healed my mind. Like, those thoughts, those intrusive, I'm telling you, those intrusive thoughts were like all the time, like literally all the time. It has been years since I've had those types of thoughts. Over this past like month and a half, I don't want to say that I've had the thoughts to like do it, or the thoughts of like no one would miss me, but I definitely feel like, because we know that the enemy, it just mimics. He doesn't, he's not capable of creating. Like only God is the creator. Satan can't create. He just, like makes it look like he does, but it's really just him copying the Lord. With promises of good things and stuff like that. But let me tell you, the spiritual warfare has been off the flippin' charts, like off the charts for me. I feel like it's for a lot of other people too, because I was able to share a little bit at a women's luncheon yesterday, and I just like saw heads nodding like all over the place and really connecting with what I was saying. And so I just feel like I've been in this fog, and I don't know if it's like the grief of like losing my grandma. I mean, again, she's not my blood grandma, but like, and don't get me wrong, love my blood grandparents, like love them. Everybody's gone. Like she was kind of the last one of who I consider to be my grandparents in my life. And so my other grandparents, my other grandmothers, they weren't very, I mean, I love them and I don't have anything against them, but they weren't very encouraging of me. At times they said some things that I had to like really forgive them for. And like this grandma was the one that was always like, I'm here for you, honey. I'm praying for you. Like we got into some really cool discussions about just spiritual stuff. And she like, because I sometimes don't feel like I'm understood by a lot of people spiritually because I'm so out of the box. And so she was actually somebody that was like, no, like, I totally agree with you, which I don't need people to agree with me, but it was like, so, you know, like when you're saying something that feels really off the wall and sometimes you're afraid to say it and like you do say it and then someone's like, oh my gosh, I've been praying for the same thing, or I've been hearing that. Like she was one of those people for me. Some of the things that like her and I talked about, like I wasn't even able to talk to my own like family about and stuff. And it was just so great. It wasn't like that towards the end there because her mind just, it wasn't there. But it doesn't take away from the fact that that was most of our relationship. And I've had her since the time I was 2. Oh, Lordy. Yes, this is totally what I plan to get on here and do. No, it is not. And so I think it's like an amalgamation of that, of I'm a big pet person. And so like losing, and my parents are home and they're going to be like, why are you bawling your eyes out? Oh, you know, no big deal. Just all of it, just like all the death and just, I don't know. So my birthday was like great. But then the rest of the month became bittersweet. Well, anyway, so I spoke at this thing yesterday and just kind of shared my heart, really. And I tell you what, man, it was crazy. It was almost like being real and raw and just like sharing that. I don't know what it did. And then I had a Zoom meeting last night and doing the same thing. And I'm on a live video, just FYI. I'm almost done though. Anyway, I woke up this morning and it's like everything had shifted. And I don't really know how to explain it other than it was like cloudy and foggy and dark, and then it wasn't. And so yeah. Anyway, so that's me checking in and saying this is what's up. And thank you. The jacket looks nice on you. Anyway, so I just, obviously that was not what I was planning on getting on here and saying at all. However, it's what happened. And so I guess I'm on here to encourage anybody that if they've been experiencing like the same type of thing, that I'll just say to you what I said to the ladies yesterday, that our theme for the thing that my mom did, that I just basically shared for like 5 minutes or whatever, I was not 15. It was not 15.
It was 15.
Oh my gosh. Was April showers bring May flowers, and just to continue to hope, not give up your hope, to realize that like seasons of tears are not like, they're not for naught, that they have purpose, and that it's in scripture. I think it's in Revelation. I need to look and see where that's at, because I love that. I love that passage, but I don't remember where it is, where it talks about that our tears are collected. And if you've watched The Shack, that part of things is just wrecking what happens. If you haven't watched The Shack, please watch The Shack. Oh my gosh, it's so stinking good, and it will wreck you and help you to walk through forgiveness towards people. And I was wrong. Mom looked it up. It's in Psalm. Psalm 56:8. You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. So no tear falls to the ground. Like it just doesn't. And so be encouraged in that. And the other thing is, like, our tears do bring flowers. Like our sorrow, it says joy comes after sorrow comes. And so believing for that, and believing that God hasn't left you alone, and you're sometimes, even though it doesn't feel like it, you are right where you're supposed to be. And so yeah. Also, I'm really excited about this new devotional. If you haven't listened to day one, really, Dad? Day one for today. I'm actually live right now. I'm not just recording. Can you tell? There's like dogs and all of the noise. Go back and listen to it, because holy smokes. I mean, we should know, because the title of it is Let Jesus Love the Weight Off of You. Okay. That's gonna, the title's already wrecking enough. So anyway, day 189 check-in. And like I said, I will post those pictures and the info about that below. I don't know. I just didn't feel like my lives are supposed to necessarily be that type of a thing, but I still do want to stay accountable on that side of life. And so that is how I'm going to do that. And that's what I'm going to do, is put them below. So I have talked for long enough. I don't even want to know what this is going to say. How long have I been on for? Yeah. Wasn't planning on being on that long at all. Anyway, I can't promise when I'll check in again. I think it's just one of those things where I really, really, again, it's that whole, my spirit is willing and ready, but my flesh is weak. So eventually I hope that I'm able to get on and do a daily one, but especially if they're going to last like 22 minutes, like that means carving out a lot of time out of my day to make sure that that happens. And life is just very full in a good way right now. So yeah, we'll see. Eventually I hope to get to that point, but I just can't promise that right now. But I do want to check in daily on the food diary side of things. So I will be doing that. So, before it gets too more raucous over here, and, I think my dad wants to finish watching a movie with me. I'm going to get off, but I love you guys. Feel free to share down in the comments, anything, or, you can reach out to me on the page if you need to. That's cool too. I think it's really, really important that we're like being open and honest and sharing with each other, because I really do think that that's kind of like what broke things yesterday. So who knows? Again, we don't always know the way things work, but I tell you, it's crazy when suddenly it's like, wow, things shifted. That's cool. So anyway, I love you guys. Have a great day, and I will see you again in the morning for day 2 of our new devotional. Bye.